Hi, everyone. Hoping that you all are doing well today. We're going to be talking about the topic of the brown handmaid. And yes, this is coming in part from this dynamic of the handmaid's tale, but it's also related to some of the political dynamics that have been going on throughout history, related to a woman's body and a woman's choice. Now, we're not specifically talking about abortion. We are really talking about a woman's choice. And so I want to talk about a particular choice related to women. Now, interestingly, this conversation has been sparked by a comment from an entity known as Charlie Kirk. Now, oddly, prior to this recent situation, I was not familiar with Charlie Kirk. But once I started looking into some of the dynamics related to Charlie Kirk, some of the paradigms and things like that, I recalled some of the initiatives related to Charlie Kirk. But what I want to address is a paradigm that he has asserted, and many people assert, about cultural dynamics related to brown people. And one of the topics of conversation revolved around single parenting and a father not being in the home. Now, I've already addressed this foolishness about a father not being in a home. A father is always in a home. What's missing in the father's home is the children. And so the conversations are structured to suggest that the woman's home or the mother's home is the home and the father is absent from that home. But essentially, you just have the children in the home with the mother. And so the intended audience for this particular discussion is the audience of women. And so one thing that I want to share is that women need to be careful about being placed in a position of being the brown handmaid. Okay. I also want to encourage women and teenagers, girls, to think very carefully about their maternal and parenting choices. One of the things that I believe people need to do and consider before having children is they need to assess the relationships that they saw with their parents. They need to assess the relationships that they had with their parents. And they need to ascertain the extent to which parenting is going to be a good thing for them and a little one. Many people need to take time to not only assess that parenting relationship, but heal from parenting relationships. And so one of the things that he has asserted, and that many people have asserted again, is that many of the problems that are taking place or that have taken place historically in brown families is the problem of the child and the father not being together. Okay, people use other terms for that, but that's basically what is being asserted. I'm going to say a couple of things here. First of all, unless it's a really rare situation, there is no entity that is forcing a father to not raise his son or his daughter. This is rare. He would have to be in prison, basically. That would be the only legal thing that would be precluding a man from raising his children that he has created. And even then, you'd be surprised by this if you're not familiar with this. The courts are going to generally order child protective services. They will even order that the children visit the father even if the father is in prison. Okay, so this idea of fathers being passive in this whole dynamic, it's erroneous. And this idea that the government took the father out of his home is ridiculous. The father has had a home the entire time. Unless the man is homeless, he has a home. And a government entity saying that a woman cannot get welfare if there is a man in the home is not taking the father out of the home. And so all of these people who are purporting to follow the Moynihan doctrine, we need to be clear about that. And so please stop spreading all of this foolishness about the reality of what's going on or what has been going on related to fathers and their children. Okay? And so the fact of the matter is that when there is a child born, some fathers decide to take care of their children. Some fathers decide not to take care of their children. And this is not about being married or single. There are men who are in the home and don't take care of the children physically, emotionally. But then the bigger issue, of course, is about the father who does not have his children in his home. And so this is where we're going to be coming from related to this particular discussion. Now, let me say a little bit about fathers and men so that we are very, very clear here. In this society, the role of the father is to protect and provide. That means provide the nurturance, that means provide the resources that the baby needs to survive and thrive. What this also means is that the father has to take care of the mother en route to the baby being born. Is that the man that you are considering to be the father of your child? Is this a man who is going to take care of you, protect you, provide for you en route to the birthing process and then beyond? If that is not the man that you are considering, I encourage you to reconsider. Because not only is labor a labor, pregnancy is a labor. And it is imperative that you be in the most nurtured space possible to give birth to the healthiest baby, to have the healthiest pregnancy, and to have the healthiest life thereafter. Okay? So choosing the father of the baby means choosing a man who is going to, during that time period, pretty much father you too. And so if it's a man who is not going to be a good father during that time period, that provider and protector for you, he is probably not a good choice to be the father of your child or to be someone that you are in a relationship with for a lifetime. Think about what I am saying. And so if you are a teenager listening to this, your 16-year-old little boyfriend is not ready to be your father or the father of any baby. I don't care what he is telling you. Your 17-year-old boyfriend, your 18-year-old boyfriend is not ready, is not equipped to do the things that are necessary to protect you and the baby, provide for you and the baby during this journey. A 16, 17, 18-year-old can barely provide for self. In fact, they are not legally able to provide for self, unless we are talking about some extremely rare circumstances. And so think about this deeply before embarking on this journey. Many men and women are encouraged to rush into pregnancy, rush into parenthood, rush into marriage. But what I want to put on your mind is that you and the person that you are thinking about parenting with, you are thinking about becoming a mother with, you both need to focus not on what's coming from the external world, but you need to focus on your own health. And so before you embark on any parenting journey, you need to make sure that you are, to the best of your ability, that you both are holistically healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, emotionally healthy, and hopefully financially healthy. Many people put the existence of humanity all on the backs of women and encourage women to think about themselves as being responsible for the continuation of the human race. Okay, that may be true generally speaking, but that's not necessarily your individual responsibility. You are not individually responsible for making sure the entire human race carries on. There are many, many women out there in the world who can carry that. You need to ask yourself whether that's something that you need to be carrying. You are not responsible for whether the human race survives or the human race does not survive. Your job in life is not to serve as a birthing slave force. A handmaid is another word for servant or slave or bondwoman, a maid. Okay, and so when thinking about this handmaid dynamic, if you look at scripture even, you will see that these were servants who had their value tied up in birthing, either being there to provide pleasure for a male or to provide offspring for a male. And a woman's total value was wrapped up in this. If you look at scripture, you see all of these weird dynamics going on when some of these women were having difficulty with having a child, with conceiving a child, with becoming pregnant. Some of them were just completely losing it, okay, because of this. In this day and age, however, your value is greater than simply your ability to bring forth a child, which it's called labor for a reason, because you're going to work. There is no baby that is coming into this world without work. The work is so strenuous that many women have to have some form of sedation for the body in order for them to do the work, because the work is that serious. That work is so serious that some women don't survive the work. They are taken out of here by the work, hence the need to be as healthy as possible before embarking on that particular occupation. And so it's important to think about yourself as an individual and what your purpose is on this earth. And I offer to you that your purpose, your God-given purpose, is not to be a servant or a slave for society, for any particular community, for your family, or for an individual male. That is not your role, unless, of course, you want to make it your role. But that is not your birth role, meaning when you were born, that's not what you were put here on this earth for. We have these paradigms going on where you have all of these people that really believe in their narcissistic little minds that other people are here to serve them. And so therefore that kind of trickles down from what many people call the elite down to the lower levels. And you still have people thinking that other people are here to serve other people. And I don't mean serve in a good way. I mean to be manipulated, to be used and abused by other people. That's not your purpose. And so if you think deeply about your purpose, you will see that that's not your purpose. Your purpose is not to serve all of these narcissistic folks in the world. And that includes not giving your body over to the service of these people. You give your body over to the service of you, what you need to do with your body, what you need to do with your life. You need to, again, be as healthy as possible to provide the best maternal environment for a baby, and then the birthing of a baby, and then the nurturing of a baby after the baby arrives. And the person that you select to do all of this with, they need to be healthy just like you need to be healthy. And so these are some things to take into consideration as you consider these dynamics. Now, let me help you with thinking through this decision to select a man to be the father of your child. One of the first things that you should consider is whether this man is already a good father. And so if this is a man that already has another child, ask yourself whether this man is taking care of this initial child or children on a full-time basis and in a manner that you believe is appropriate. And again, appropriate is this the type of father that you believe you deserve or that you would desire? So when you look at how this man is treating these children that already exist, is he treating those children in the way that you would want to be treated if you were a child? Is he taking care of them in the manner that you would want to be taken care of if you were a child? If the answers are no, then you need to reconsider, because there is a high likelihood that whatever type of father he already is the type of father he is going to be. And so if a man is comfortable with abandoning children that are already present, not have a relationship with them, there's a high likelihood that he's going to be comfortable with abandoning your child and you with your child. And so in addition to questions about neglect, you are also encouraged to ask questions about actual abuse. And so if this is a man who has a history of being abusive, emotionally abusive, physically abusive, sexually abusive, financially abusive, spiritually abusive, you need to reconsider. You need to ask these same questions of yourself. And so this takes quite a bit of effort here. And so you need to ask yourself, do you have a history of being abusive, emotionally abusive, physically abusive, sexually abusive, financially abusive, spiritually abusive? Is that a part of your makeup? If that is a part of your makeup, then you also need to reconsider the extent to which you giving birth to a little one is a good idea. If you or this intended father have a history of being abused, you are encouraged to consider the extent to which you both are healed or on the road to healing. And one of the first things related to healing is acknowledgement, putting it on the table for yourself. And so if you can't acknowledge it and he can't acknowledge it, can't discuss it, can't address it, then you are again encouraged to think twice, 3 times, 4 times before you bring a little person into the world. Because if you are not clear about abuse and neglect not being a good thing in relation to you, or if you legitimize it or you justify it, you excuse it, you are at higher than average risk for doing the same thing to the next generation. Now, it is rare that people are actually unequally yoked. You hear that phrase, but 9 times out of 10, people are equally yoked. And so when you hear these people in relationships complaining about their partners are a reflection of their desires. And our desires are tied to whatever is going on with us, the essence of us. And so these partners that people have are not that removed from the other partner. Okay. And so you'll often hear people complaining about men or complaining about women or complaining about the people they are in relationships with. These people chose to be in these relationships with these people. And so complaining about the people that people are in relationships with, it's basically a complaint against the self. Okay. And so again, deeply consider the person that you are considering being a partner with in life and a partner in terms of parenting. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the love issue related to all of this. Before having a baby, you want to check your self-love and the self-love of the intended father. Do you love you? You'll know whether you love you based upon the way that you steward you, the way you treat you. You will know if this intended father loves himself based upon the way that he treats himself, the way that he takes care of himself. You will be able to look at each entity very easily to ascertain the extent to which self-love is there. Why is this important? Because the baby is going to be a combination of the two people. And so you will see yourself in the baby, you will see the other person in the baby. And if you don't love you, you are not going to love a baby. And the baby deserves to be loved. The baby deserves to be cared for, just like you deserve to be loved when you were a baby, whether you received it or not. That's what you deserved. And with respect to the father, if he doesn't love himself, he cannot love a baby. He is not going to be loving the reflection of himself. Now, related to the two people loving each other. If the two people don't love each other, they are going to have a difficult time loving a baby that is a reflection of the other person. This is another reason why people need to be very careful about naming babies. And so if a woman does not love the man that she's having the baby with, and she has a boy, and she names the boy after this man that she does not like, and it might just happen that the little boy looks just like the father or acts just like the father. And so each time that she says the little boy's name, each time that she looks at the little boy, she is reminded of this person that she doesn't like, this person that she doesn't love. The little boy doesn't deserve that. And so I encourage you also to be careful about these naming dynamics, because the name goes on throughout life. And if this is a person that you don't like, you don't love, you don't want to spend the rest of your life with, be very careful about giving a little person the name of someone that you don't like. Because again, each time you say the child's name, each time you look at the child, you're going to have a reminder of this person that you, for whatever reason, do not care for. Don't delude yourself into believing that otherwise might take place, because it generally does not. And I also want to point out that with respect to physical child abuse, the primary perpetrator of physical child abuse is the mother. Now, there are other forms of child abuse that take place that are not the mother, but with respect to physical child abuse, the mother is the one that has the highest stats. Now, of course, part of this is because children tend to be in the home of the mother at a higher rate than they are in the home with the father. That's one reason. There are some other reasons, and we can chat about that at another time. But you are, again, encouraged to think very carefully about all of these dynamics. And so when individuals are trying to encourage you to do some sort of duty to the state, to some community, or some random man, you need to think twice, 3 times, 4 times, many times about whether this is something that you need to be doing for you. Now, some people believe in all of these extinction theories. They believe their race is going extinct. They believe their tribe, their clan is going extinct. And it's your responsibility to have as many babies as possible to keep the clan going. If these people who are pushing these narratives, need the clan to keep going, the tribe to keep going, the nation, the country, whatever it is, let them have all of these babies that they believe are necessary. Okay, so if they believe that, they need to do it. Their desires and their wants and their feelings, it's none of your business. And your business is you. And what's appropriate and right for you, your body, your life. What do you need to do for you based upon your purpose for being on this earth in the first place. Because once you make the decision to get pregnant and have a baby, again, it is a lifelong responsibility. It is a lifelong dynamic. And you need to be up to the task. If you are not up to the task, if you are not qualified for the job, do not put in that particular application. Remember, knowledge is power.